How are we looking for Nye Carr? Any new developments with that situation?
Yeah, it was kind of obviously I was there to see Landon, and then I talked a little bit with Nye when I was there, on campus, and yeah, I just walked up to him and basically asked him, like, is your recruitment totally shut down? And he indicated to me it's like 50-50 that it was. And then he indicated he might, if it works out, that he could visit on this weekend. I think he put on an IG story that he wasn't visiting this weekend, but I'm sure Georgia is doing everything it can do to make sure he doesn't visit because of what FSU can do as far as how hot they are. So I just don't get the impression that he's like totally shut down. I do think that he feels comfortable about what Georgia does and what Georgia and how explosive their team is and their offense and what they do with receivers. But I also think that FSU is pretty intriguing to him, and certainly the FSU staff still likes him. I don't think they're waiting around. They got 4 commitments, so I don't think they're like, oh, well, if he comes, I think they have enough targets on the board already. But I think he's a guy that, yeah, I will monitor through the process. But that's kind of where things sit as far as night car, as far as when I was there yesterday in call.
Let's keep it with receivers then, Michael. Nick Castellana, with the 4 wide receiver commits and them taking one more, do you think they would save a spot for JoJo Trader or take 6 with him and James Madison if possible?
Well, there's definitely going to save a spot for JoJo. They love JoJo. They want him in there. I think that's probably the most coveted guy that's high school wise that they certainly want. Not to add into the more stuff, but I mean you're also going to have Destin Hill in the mix. That's going to be here likely, and expecting in May. That's what our expectations are. So you also have that. So I think they want six total, or 6 or 7 total, whether it's portal or high school. They want to reload that receiver room because you're likely going to lose some guys for after this year. So I think that that's kind of the total I was kind of told of what they would kind of shoot for, but it wouldn't be out of the question that I could see them taking both James and JoJo. I think JoJo's a very close FSU Miami battle, and I think with James Madison they lead. I like where FSU sits with James. I've said that for the visit. He visited for the spring game. Everything's really good. He's officially visiting late in June. I'm waiting to get that exact date. I want to say it's probably the 23rd weekend, but I'm waiting for James to kind of tell me. But I think I think they sit good as far as being a very massive player in that race, and certainly Madison loves everything they're doing, and certainly the fits there and all that stuff. So I think taking 6 is not out of the question as far as wide receiver recruiting.
How many guys will be committed before the LSU game, which we're 138 days away from, Michael? They've got 11 guys on the boat. Um, that's a tough one, but hey, these are the questions that we got asked.
I'm used to tough ones. I mean, it's tough because you're going to have a lot of officials in that late June area. So I think you probably get like you could have 5 or 6 or 7 get to that point, but it's hard to me to say an exact number, Ryan. I mean, there's several guys probably around 5 or 6 that I think you could get. But outside of that, I can't really put a total number. That would be my guess because I think you have some big fish that guys like James Madison are visiting. Certainly, you have Jason Zanamella who's supposed to take official visits around the summertime, and you have other ones. But I don't think the class will be like completely done. But I say like majority of the class, I would say, or a good portion should be done before that game. Now there'll be a few out there that they'll go after. I don't know number of. I know few sometimes it's 2, but I'd say between 2 to 4. But I'd say a good portion of the class, could be done and likely is done before they play that game against LSU.
How are we looking for Travaris Banks, Ricardo Jones?
Yeah, I think Ricardo is probably a Auburn lean. He was supposed to be here this weekend. I never spotted him on the visit, so makes me think like Auburn's in the best position, even though he does have a great connection with Norvell, and he has mentioned about taking official visit to FSU. Certainly, if you get him in for official visit, there's a shot. But right now, I would lean more towards Auburn. And then with the other, with Tavares Franks, I think there's a real shot with. I think he's highly interested. He's going to officially visit FSU. He actually really wanted to be there at FSU for the spring game, but he couldn't be there because of I think he had a 7-on-7, but he really that was a guy that was itching to get back there. He'd been there 2 times already this spring, so I think you'll see him back in there. I think they're very much in the picture there. It's never easy to get a kid from Alabama, especially one from Tuscaloosa. But he is a guy that's I think, very interested and genuine interest in FSU.
Blue chip linebackers, Jonathan McIntosh wonders, do we have a shot with any of them? Seems like it's a position we need to step up recruiting in.
I agree, Jonathan, 100%. I don't think there's a lot of talented top tier guys. I think Zaquan Patterson is one that's high on my list. I think Alabama, Miami, and FSU are the main teams I hear on there. But outside that, Peyton Pierce, I think, committed to Ohio State, so that was a loss in them. There's several other guys like Edwin Spillman. He's also another one on ball, but I think Tennessee probably ends up winning that one. So it's a position that there needs to be step up to. And there'll be more names, and we've seen this before, but they have to step up their game and get up there and have more prospects and targets to look at. Certainly, we've seen what Coach Shannon does with development with those guys. Kalen looks phenomenal. I think TJ Lundy looks really good, and we Tatum has certainly done a lot of great things, and certainly development is there. But I think high school recruiting certainly, they could use a boost. Got Blake Nicholson last year, DeMarco Ward, and it added a late one with Dylan Brown Turner. But I think they're definitely you want to see a bigger step up, like you see at these other positions like tight end, wide receiver, certainly running back. You want to see it kind of get to that level.
Robert Reeves, what recruit can Florida State turn that favors Miami more right now?
Ooh, trying to think. Um, they're not involved like too many with too many really, I guess tight guy. I guess you could put Dylan Stevenson in that group, but I think FSU is, I think that's FSU feels good about their position with Dylan. He's been to FSU and Miami like 7 or 8 times, so there's been an equal amount of. I guess if you go by the RPM, it'll be an upset because a lot of people seem to like Miami, but I like kind of where FSU sits a little more than other teams. I think FSU has done the best job. They've coveted him the most, and he said after his visit that he's got to set a date now for commitment. So he sounds like after that visit, it kind of sold things for him as far as his decision goes. But I would say Dylan, I guess, if I'm picking one. But I mean, the rest of them are just there's not a lot. I mean, it's weird. Miami was so hot last year, but a lot of these recruitments they're going after are guys that are kind of under the radar and stuff like that. They did get Chance Robinson, a 4-star receiver, but some of these other guys are kind of interesting picks, but I don't think there's like a lot of top tier major battles outside of JoJo and Dylan. But I guess I would pick Dylan.